How you all doing? How y'all doing? Hey, how are you? Hey, my friend. You're looking great. How you doing? Good, man.
This is the pastor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. He's so funny. He gets me with that all the time. My name is Kevin Murriel, the senior pastor at Cascade, and we are here with our brother Phillip Middleton, who is our oldest living member at Cascade.
I didn't realize that.
Yes,
I never
sir.
thought of that.
You're our oldest living member.
I want you to do the talking because I really didn't know about all of this
Yes, sir.
until about 2 days ago.
Exactly. That's when we came up with it. About 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah, we did. Here we sit. You 103 years of age. I'm 33. Having a conversation, learning from one another. How important is it for generations to share with each other, the younger and the older, together?
Well, that's the only way. That's the only way we can get the truth.
That's right.
Oh, the news is full of lies.
That's right.
So they don't know. Now, more black people became outstanding, came through, not the Democratic Party. They came to the Republican Party.
Right.
And what was the name of the first? I don't want to mess you up, because you'd have to read this. I'm much older than you, so I was kind of here. You're the first congressional man.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, we used his name. Can you think of it?
No, off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I probably
well, you're the first congressman. I forgot where he came from. I think he came out of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
What that was like when he got elected.
I would have to remember that because there was no other.
No other?
Right, yeah.
When did you become a member of Cascade? Do you remember?
It's 98.
98? Okay.
Oh, 94.
No, it was 94, and Kimbrough had come back to Cascade.
Okay, so the second
Second time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 1994. Can you reflect some on how long were you married? How long were you all married? How long were you and Miss Vivian married? For?
Oh, Vivian and I,
Yes.
until she died.
Right.
How
Was
many
it
years?
about 70 years? Was
72
it
years.
72 years?
Yeah.
Phillip, did Vivian go to Cascade first, or did you?
We went together.
You went together?
Yeah.
You joined together?
Vivian joined before me. I never forget. This is the most. It was a kind of shock, like in a way. She joined. I was there when she joined, but I didn't join.
Mm-hmm.
But I took her there. Okay. So I never forget when I joined. She went around in the church and came up behind me, and I look around there. Then she was by my side while I joined church. I said, wow, looks like she's giving me some strength in Christianity. That's the way I took it. But I never forget how she came up beside me and saw me join. But I didn't come up beside her. If it had both of us would have joined together, but I didn't. But
You have lived through so many things in 103 years. And as you reflect on being a black Methodist, what does that mean to you? How important
I'll
is that?
tell you what, I'll say this. I don't say it very often, but they were the smart people who knew how to get along.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see the church going like crazy. They're not dummies.
That's right.
Really.
Yes, sir.
One thing I love for my family, with my dad and mother, they didn't drive us into being Christian. They lived the life that made you want to be like them. That's what it meant. That's what I can't understand. When I hear kids don't want to be with their parents, who do they think they're going to be like if they're not like their parents?
Yeah.
If they go away young, how can they be like their parents if they're not around them? We were South Carolinians.
Mm-hmm.
He was Northerners.
Right.
Or we call them Yankees. But anyway, you know, we were talking about it right after the Civil War.
Right.
And there was a division between these.
Mm-hmm.
They're like two different countries.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't say that now. And we call white people would come from the north.
Mm-hmm.
Like Boston was the blacks' capital,
Right.
not New York. I guess we were with the intellectual people, and that was where the Methodist big school was,
Boston University. That's right.
And we didn't know anything about New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It was always Boston.
Right.
And but I never went to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But I did go to New York City to live. I went to Harlem. Lived in Harlem. And that's where the black people developed
Right.
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually and artistically. And Harlem had everything.
Right. How have you seen on race relations? How have you seen that get better, get worse over the years as it relates to the church?
I think it's our conception. I think it's better, but it's more confusion because it got wider. We had certain little people. I didn't realize that until I left, and I left in Los Angeles.
So you were in California, so
Yeah,
it's really,
I was in California.
yeah.
I would wonder why all the cities in the world, how I decided to go to Los Angeles, and I was so glad I went there.
Mm.
But they told me, the church, to go to everything. And when I went, the Methodist church was downtown among the commercial buildings.
Mm.
But the black were moving where they are now when I went.
Right.
And I went in 46.
Mm.
And I didn't feel like I was going to a strange place. USC was about the only, USC and Notre Dame were big rivals.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing in the United States. I would give them credit for where the football games are in the West and East, because they were the only schools that were playing Ohio State,
Right.
Illinois, Michigan, all those.
Mm-hmm.
They were the only, but they had a good football team. They were always very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
They were very wealthy. That was a wealthy school. I was going to GI Bill. When I went, they cut my eligibility program to half because of the high price of going. I think it was $130 then, and for the years you were in the military, you got so many years to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I went 5 years in the military. So I went 2.5 years to the USC.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, wow.
I wasn't going to day school because I was kind of found the love I liked. And what that was design. And USC was one of the big schools in design and architecture.
Right.
And philosophy and that kind of. I never seen nothing like that.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
People giving millions and millions of dollars.
They sure do. They give a lot of money to those schools. Mm-hmm.
Fellas,
Yes?
you were showing me the pictures of the schools, the building that USC has now. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But I finished in 1940.
Wow.
This sounds
You graduated
strange.
Claflin in 1940.
That sounds strange.
Wow.
That sounds just like to me yesterday. It doesn't sound far away.
Wow. Well, I just want to personally thank you for this coffee and conversation that we've had, and just hearing from you. I brought you this magazine that our church has just published, and I presented it to you. I want you to take a look through it because of your hard work and the foundation that you and so many others have set for us. We're able to do all of these things in the community and to be a light in the community, and we just want to thank you. And we're going to share this video with our church and let them know that you're doing well.
We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But you know what?
What's that?
We weren't trained to say, for instance, what happened in Trinity, in Orangebury, to get up and make over us and how great. I think that weakens people to pat them up and praise them and say,
Yes, sir.
do any good thing.
Yes, sir.
They start getting weak.
Yes, sir.
They stop warning. They stop expanding themselves.
Right.
I did not believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ever say that too much, but I believe that.
Yes, sir. That we got to be about the work.
That's right.
Yes, sir. My brother.
But